On Wednesday, April 30th, 2025, Jenkins LTS 2.504.1 was released. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at all the changes in that release, and there were quite a few. If you've never been here before, my name is Darin Pope. I'm a developer advocate with CloudBees, and along with me today, I have Mark Waite. Mark, how are you doing today?
Just great, Darin. Thanks.
Good to see you. Another 4 weeks have passed. We have another release, fortunately a .1 that from the outside doesn't look like much, I guess, is one way to look at it. But on the inside, there's been a lot of changes that have happened.
Yeah, and I like the cadence of the changes in this one. Right, many of them are not user visible, but they're important and they're a good basis for the future.
So if people don't understand what the difference is between a Jenkins Weekly, a Jenkins LTS, can you walk us through that real quick?
Sure. So Jenkins Weekly releases every week, and we release it regularly, and we try to keep it production all the time. But for those who might want something even more stable, every 12 weeks we select a weekly baseline. That baseline then becomes the thing we use for a series of long-term support releases, LTS releases based on it. So we choose a baseline, 2.504. We do a few backports, and then we release it, and 4 weeks later, we do another set of backports as necessary, release it again. 4 weeks later, another set of backports, release it again, so that it's been stable for that 12-week period. Then we choose a new baseline and do it all again.
And again. And again.
And again and again.
There's probably a 1970s commercial line somewhere in there that just over and over again, it keeps on coming. Let's go and take a look at it because, again, in this release, compared to last month's there were just a handful of things. There's a lot of different things that we need to take a look at.
Well, and we need to be sure we read the upgrade guide, especially important on a .1.
And especially important today if you're on Windows.
Yes.
We'll get to that. So if you've never downloaded before, go to jenkins.io. Right now in no zoom, you'll see download over in the far right-hand corner. If you're sized differently or if you're zoomed in, it may turn into a hamburger, but let's just say download. We have two different things we can look at, either stable changelog or weekly changelog. Again, we're going to look at the stable here only. And we'll jump in here just a little bit. And again, April 30th, that was yesterday. We had some changes since 504. We'll go through this. And then the big changes or notable changes since 492.3. These are going to be the ones that's where the work has really been going on for a longer time versus the changes since 504. These are backports that were found to be, I'm going to say necessary, but maybe not necessary, but really, really nice to have.
Right. Highly beneficial.
Yeah. Which one do you want to take a look at first? Do you want to take a look at the sense, the backports, or do we want to take a look at the big list?
I'd say let's do the sense first because we can do it very quickly.
Okay.
And then we talk about the more, I think, more important, more crucial ones.
Okay. So we had one that looks very strange to me, and it had a lot of pull requests and issues. And it's like, there were a lot of words in this one. I don't understand. So I was trying to, can you explain this to me like I'm a 3-year-old?
Sure. So when dealing with nodes on Jenkins, so agents, we were making poor choices in terms of how often we performed certain calls. And those poor choices didn't show up until you had lots of agents configured. And that was a problem. Well, you can imagine certain instances of Jenkins, like ci.jenkins.io, sometimes has 200 or 300 agents attached. And so performance problems at that scale could be disruptive. This is a fix agent configuration things to work better in large-scale environments.
Are we just saying that, even though this is probably not the issue because I haven't looked at it, ports are not infinite? Ports are finite?
No, it's close. It wasn't related to ports, really.
Okay.
It's more related to excessive calls to configuration methods, excessive calls to methods. And the excessive calls, we just had to stop doing them, right?
Well, I could still argue that it was related to ports. We just had opened up too many and we were sending down too much traffic down the channels.
Your use of ports doesn't fit with my model, but that's okay. That's fine.
We'd poked enough holes coming from other agents, and we were making lots of calls. We'll leave it there.
Okay.
And there was also an upgrade to Windstone and Jetty. I'm guessing
and
that was just because, hey, it's available. Let's take it.
It's
more
very
than that.
healthy for us to use the most recent releases of Jetty. They just make sense to not get far away from them. Jetty releases are not a very frequent thing, and when they release it, it's usually because there's something interesting in it. So it's just best that we upgrade to their latest release.
Okay. Now we can get into what's really been going on. So those were just a couple of back ports. Those were actually fairly small, very important. Okay, the Jetty one probably not as important as that first one that we were rambling on about, because everything works great until you go to that next one.
Right. When you reach a tipping point, things hurt. Right.
Yeah.
Let's not cross tipping points. Agreed.
Yep. Speaking of tipping points, Yahoo UI is now officially gone.
Yes. 80,000. I said that right. 80,000 lines of JavaScript gone from Jenkins.
I could say something. I'm just going to be quiet.
That's fine. I'm very happy because this was an enormous amount of work for a large group of people across a serious time, and users are in general not suffering compatibility hits because we did it very, very carefully to preserve compatibility.
Is now a good time to take a look at the upgrade notes? Because
maybe,
there
yeah.
was this was one of the big items. So upgrade guide is
let's
always
look at the upgrade guide. That's a good suggestion.
because this was one of the big points in upgrade guide. There we go. So very top one was Yahoo UI is removed.
Right.
Now, if you're using one of these 4 plugins, and there's actually others that still have Yahoo UI, they just haven't been upgraded because there's no maintainers, right?
Right, exactly. A plugin that is orphaned, has no maintainer, may not be upgraded. And so there are still some usages of Yahoo UI, and these have not necessarily been resolved. Yep.
Right. And then the other, since we're here on the upgrade guide already, remove JSIFs and JInterop. This was going back to what I was talking about with Windows earlier. We actually may revisit this in a second. Actually, let's come back to this in a minute, but just keep this in the back of your mind if you're thinking, why do I even care about JSIFs? What's that?
Okay.
We have an experimental details widget for builds.
Right.
Is this something, if I don't like it, I can turn it off?
It is, and that's part of the cool story about experimental is the flagging system in Jenkins that's used for experimental was implemented several LTS releases ago and allows each user to turn on or off experiments for themselves individually.
Okay, good. Now, unlike the experiment, we have a lot of enhancements.
We do.
We could spend a lot of time going through every one of these. This is the one I want to go ahead and call out first. Remove the ability to install as a Windows service from running Jenkins install. So let's make that more simple. If you're running Jenkins on a Windows instance, take your pick, whatever it's at, there could be a button that shows up in there that says upgrade WAR file or whatever it is. I can't remember what the phrasing on it is, right? That's what you would see. And basically you could upgrade within Jenkins itself. That's not the best thing to do for a number of reasons, to put it politely.
Well, okay, I think this one may be a little different than that. I think so. I think, but I agree with you. There is in fact a button in Jenkins on Windows that allows them to upgrade in place.
Yes.
And that has some different ramifications. And Alex Earl has views about who should use that and why. This one I think is more about. I started Jenkins on Windows from the WAR file, not from using the MSI, but it offered for a period the option, install as a service now, even though you were started from a WAR file. And that is really kind of upside down, right? If you started an application from your desktop and then said, now I want to make it installed like a real app, use the MSI installer. It really is better at managing Windows installs, right? It's designed to do Windows installs.
Wait, the Windows installer is meant to install Windows applications?
I know that strikes everyone as strange when we say things like that, but it's the real case. Yeah.
Okay. I want to go and call this one out too. Refresh the interface of the Jenkins CLI page. And we'll just show it because
Yeah, I like that.
here is 492.3. And if we go to CLI, which I've already
Bottom. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
Tools and actions.
Okay. So just as it's looked like for as long as I can remember. Now, if we take a look at it, now we have this.
Right.
We have sort of a, okay, finally, thank you. It's like download the jar. It's a link.
Right. Big button, press this button.
Yeah. Download that and then do this. So that's the biggest thing. If you're to A/B it. Now, there's also something else here. The left nav is gone. And you'll notice this as time moves along, is that left nav is starting to disappear.
It's
from a lot of places.
More and more being removed. That's right.
And you're asking, well, how am I supposed to know where to go? Breadcrumb, people. The breadcrumb at the top.
Look at the top. That's
Look
right.
at the top. Okay. So that's the big change there. But I think even beyond that, like we're semi-joking about, that left nav is starting to go away. And we'll tease this for just a minute. In the July next big LTS, the next .1 that comes out, July timeframe, it's going to become even more apparent what's
That's
happening. So we'll leave that there. Let's go back here. So UI colors, that's interesting. Also avatars. There's a lot of UI things that are happening right now behind the scenes that are now that have been happening for quite a while that are now coming to the forefront. So we're starting to see that. At this point, allow the master key to be stored in a separate location. You may ask yourself, what? There's a master key inside Jenkins? Did you know about that, Mark?
I'm aware of it, but I'd prefer you give us a description of what's the master key and why I care about it, because it's a crucial concept in Jenkins security, and when do I care and when don't I? It matters deeply.
I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the master key, if you think about something, think of it like a private key from an SSH key pair perspective. It's what is helping encrypt and decrypt the credentials that are on the controller, fill in the blank. It does. That's its basic purpose in life. So if you think about it, it's like, oh, okay, that's not a big deal. But in real life, do you keep your private key in the same location as your public key? Well, okay, yeah, you actually do. But do you keep it with everything else? Well, no, it's in the .sh directory most of the time, right?
And it's usually very carefully protected, and it's usually defended, and the public key may go many places, but I keep my private key locked down, right?
Correct. And really where that comes into play for you, Mark, is probably backups.
Yep.
You might exclude your .sh directory from backups, or at least some variation of that. Well,
right.
This master key lives inside of the Jenkins home directory. So if you're on Linux, by default, var lib Jenkins or whatever variation of that is. So if you go through it, you will find a file named master.key. If you are backing up your controller, like you should be, and you're backing up the master key within that backup file, then that means anybody could take that backup, restore it somewhere, and see everything that you had defined on that controller.
Right. That is
easier to do that.
That is the decryption magic for your encrypted contents. And therefore, you don't want that thing going places it doesn't belong.
Right. So a way to deal with that in backups is you would just exclude that file. Okay, not a big deal. But then, if you had to do a restore, that means you'd have to go and grab the master key, untar whatever your backup was, bring that master key, put it back in the right place, and then continue on. Okay, again, not a big deal. That could be automated in all sorts of ways. But now, with this release, we can put the master key in a completely different location on the server itself. And you just give it a path. of where to do it. So I'm going to be doing a video on this probably within the next week or two. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet. You'll be notified when that video comes out. It's simple. My example is currently on traditional. I am still working through how I want to show it for running Jenkins on Kubernetes, because that's a little different, because there's different ways I could do that. So again, we'll do it the simple way first, just doing it traditionally, just running it on bare metal or in a VM, whatever you want to call it. But this is an important thing. This is something that you would probably want to even consider migrating over time to. Easy to do. You give it a new -d startup parameter, and give it the location of where that file is. Life goes on. So if you have a secure enclave that you typically put these kinds of files in on a server that can be read, that's what you would want to do. So video coming about that in the future. Okay, adding a space between add, edit, description, and views. Okay, again, layout type stuff. Groupings. This is command palette. So in the last release, the .3, was that when command palette came out? .2?
Yes, I think so. It was in the .1, I'm pretty sure. But yes,
Yeah.
The command palette is a relatively recent thing.
And command palette is what we mean here.
Right.
And previously, let's see. Let's see.
Try users.
Yeah, because I don't.
No, sorry. It wants to search for jobs, and we don't
Jobs,
have any.
yeah. I don't have any jobs to find. So used to, it would just come out with a big list. Well, now it's going to group things in a more natural way. I should have loaded up some more jobs. But again, the UI is changing.
Right.
Not rapidly, but it is changing. Empty state, cancel to edit description. Thank you. Update the interrupted. You're also going to start seeing a lot of these icons changing too, because of new plugins that are available that are taking advantage of these nice SVG-based icon libraries. In other words, we're not pulling PNGs in all the time.
User interface consistency is increasing, and it really is. And that part of that is icon improvements. Part of it is color improvements. Part of it is refinements of how the UI behaves. Yep.
Okay. Bug fix. Use the correct date and history widget when a user has configured a dedicated time zone. Wouldn't you think that would have been? But hey.
Well, actually, that's kind of cool, right? I was
yeah.
impressed that this one was even discovered. It's like, oh, good for you for finding this. And yes, it is fixed.
Form validation for cron schedules included seconds based on current time, when in fact trigger fires at a minute granularity. Yeah.
That's a pretty
Quartz doesn't
subtle.
work in seconds.
Right, that's a pretty subtle one for me. That one was, I'm impressed again. Somebody found this. Very nice.
Yep. Occasional failures to write files to Jenkins home directory on Windows servers due to virus
Right.
scanners.
Who'd have guessed it? Virus scanners are a thing. Yep.
I will be quiet again. Thank you very much. Task notification tooltip. Again, just consistency in the UI is a lot of these things. Sorting deprecated plugins alphabetically. Who would have thought? But okay, sure.
Yeah. Well, and truthfully, this I think is a great excuse to say, if your Jenkins controller has deprecated plugins installed, you should probably plan to remove them. It is not healthy to have deprecated plugins on your controller. And usually that means you've got to do the analysis to find out why you have them, see if you can remove them.
Right, but I still use them.
Well, and if you still use them, then you've got to wonder why you use them, because usually there's a replacement that says you should be using this instead.
Right. Prevent dynamic plugin installation from registering the same extension twice. Yes, thank you.
Right?
Again, I am not one that likes to install plugin and let's keep working.
Right.
I like to install plugin, restart.
Yep.
Just
me too.
because that's
Agreed.
I'll take the downtime.
Yep.
Manage Jenkins nested context menus, stay open, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Enable top button. Again, more consistency type things. Now this one's a little strange actually.
Yeah. The oddity was it was inserting things not at the top.
Not at the top.
Even though the name was enable top button. And thanks to Marcus Winter for finding it and fixing it. Like, yeah, that's odd.
And the last thing, prevent a Java null pointer when adapting a keyboard shortcut based on a user agent header. That.
Again, interestingly obscure. Yep.
Yep. That's pretty much it. Let's go back over to the upgrade guide because I want to call out then, because I was crossing the streams, I guess, on this one because I'm removing JSIFs and JInterop. So I was putting this together. I guess, is this related back to that fix? Is this the upgrade guide item that's related to the Windows fix that we're talking about?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is
Right.
this is telling users, hey, this is giving users two different stories actually. So the first paragraph tells us, hey, you can't do install as a service if you started by calling java -jar jenkins.war. Right? You please use the MSI installer to install as a service. It's the much better way to do it. It lets us let MSI do what it does, manage services.
Right.
The second thing, the second paragraph, talks about JSIFs being used for Windows agents with DCOM, which we haven't supported Windows agents through DCOM. Well, Microsoft hasn't supported DCOM style agents the way we use them for years. And this was from an old plugin that is now long ago removed from distribution, deprecated, etc.
Okay. So anyway, welcome to 2015, I think, right? I think that's what we're
Right,
saying.
right.
Okay.
This is admitting that we joined the modern age a long time ago, and it's time to get rid of these dead libraries that were leftovers from the old days.
Okay. That's it from the upgrade guide, though. And that's actually a good thing.
That's it.
Because there's not much going on from that perspective. So far, people have reported 12 that are happy, no major issues, and no sad things. So that's good. Is there anything else we need to look at here? Is there anything else you want to call out from the UI?
Not really. The things that were happening in the UI, many of them are subtle underpinnings. The color changes. It just makes it easier to develop in Jenkins, but it doesn't show up as some dramatic change to the Jenkins user. I don't have anything else to particularly highlight.
Okay. Well, good. So what does that mean? That means we'll be back in 4 weeks. The next release is May 28th, I believe. Check my calendar. May 28th. We'll be back on May 29th, same time. Mm-hmm. It'll be a .2.
Right.
We're not expecting a whole lot. Just like we don't typically expect a .2 or .3 to be big, other than just stabilizing more and more. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be heading into the midsummer months, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, to where that next .1 that comes out. Let's see. Let's predict a number right now. Let's call it 515. So
Okay.
I'm calling it. Let's say it's 515.
Yep.
Would that be the math? Yeah, it's about that. Math's almost right. There will be some new UI changes that will make you very interested. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And we'll leave that there for today. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't watched before, hopefully it's been helpful to you. And again, we'll be back in 4 weeks. Mark, is there anything else we need to cover right now? We're getting into holiday seasons. In fact, we're doing this live on May 1st. All of Europe was off for Labor Day. U.S. people still work on EU Labor Day. I don't understand why. It should just be a global holiday. But hey, it's almost time. Schools are almost getting out.
Right. It's
that time
summer.
of year.
In the Northern Hemisphere, summer is coming, and it's delightful. Yep.
Yes, it is. Until it's 100 every day. So then that'll be a different thing to maybe not be so delightful about. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you again in 4 weeks.